I'll endeavour to make this short and simple, because lots of my videos are sort of quite long and rambling and without context, because I just ramble. But I think I'm making this video because I think lots of people hear the message, repeat the message, talk about the message, but the message hasn't come with understanding. And I think that's the important thing. So you can spend a long time repeating the message over and over again, and it has some intrinsic sort of, makes some sense somewhere. But the message has not yet come with the understanding, the true, deeper meaning behind the message. It's not been attached. Like a child that's been told to not put its hand on the oven because it's hot. It understands the message. The message has obvious meaning, but it's meaningless until the day comes when the message comes attached with the understanding, because the child puts its hand on the oven and the instant of pain and shock kicks in, and then the message is understood. And before that point you can repeat the message over and over again. Does not mean that the message is not useful. The message is useful, but it's still not come with the understanding. And the other thought I just had was, it's a bit like maybe transcendental meditation, where you repeat a mantra over and over again. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. So that you're focused on the mantra. The mantra itself is the message. It doesn't have any necessarily any deeper meaning, though it might carry a message with it, kind of thing, or a meaning. But at some point the mantra disappears from your thinking and the understanding comes through, and a moment of satori or enlightenment, which might fade again and might come back again, appears in an instant. And there you have the understanding. Doesn't mean that the message was useless. The message, the repetition of the message is fine. It's just, it's carrying something. And if that's the means or the way to get to the understanding, then it's fine. It's worth the work. But the message is just a message, and the understanding is the understanding. And so, and I know, because I've been in the same position, at the beginning of meditation and things, what am I doing this for? Why? What's it getting me at the end of the day? Which is another problem, getting something out of it. But at some point, understanding comes, and then it might fizzle out again, disappear, or get sort of lost. You know it's there, but you can't grab it anymore. And so you keep repeating the message, and the understanding keeps coming back. But people who haven't had that, it's difficult, because people who haven't had that, they don't get the understanding. It's not to say they're stupid. It's just that they literally can't see it. You can discuss with them and use logic, etc. as much as you like. If they don't have the understanding, they don't understand what you're trying to get at, no amount of logic and discussions is going to make any difference, unfortunately. They have to keep repeating the same thing over and over again until they eventually get the understanding themselves. So, if you're one of those people, don't stop repeating the message. Don't stop digging down behind the message to try and find out, what is this saying? It's the messages can be seen as a sort of training, and the understanding is not a reward, but the understanding appears at some time where you suddenly go, oh, right, like that. The Spartans said, sweat more in training, bleed less in war. So you put in the work beforehand, not knowing why you're putting in the work, and then one day you understand why you're putting in the work, because something appears and says, okay, here it is. And I know that sounds ridiculous to people. It would have sounded ridiculous to me, say, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago. And I'm still a very scientifically minded chap, and logic and reason and so on and so forth. But until you sort of get a message that says, yeah, but there's something else that you can't explain, rather like an LSD trip, where people who've tripped will go, I know what you mean. They don't know what you mean. They've not seen the things that you've seen, but they know, they have the understanding. People who've never tripped, you can't explain. You could try and explain as much as you want. They're not going to understand. They don't have the understanding. This is nothing new. It's just this is the meaning behind lots of words, like, being groovy, or behind saying dodgy things like, I'd love to turn you on. It was a reference to people who knew, that condition. And so people who've not experienced had a psychedelic experience, won't be able to imagine what it's like, and not just the sort of visual nature, the all of the senses being completely altered, reality being altered, but the sense that, I don't want to say all people, but I think the majority of people have on a psychedelic experience, this seems to be a sort of thing that it does to us, the sense of oneness, the realization all of a sudden, this is just one big thing, nothing is separate. That's mind-blowing, and people who haven't had experience of that can only keep repeating the message, and you will never be able to explain to them what the message is pointing at until they have the understanding. Like Buddha said, when I point to the moon, do not mistake my finger for the moon. It's just pointing the way. So if you're one of those people repeating the message, then continue repeating the message. And of course, no one can give you a guarantee, but understanding will come. Might not be what you're expecting now.